happy comic book day, and thank you to Bad Mary for that too sweet play-in. Welcome all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is U.S. Comics Cast, Chapter 2, Episode 27, Two Topics in 60 Minutes for the People. I am John Roughneck Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of U.S. Comics. Do you get me?
And I am your COO, your hybrid panda, the one, the only, the most electrifying podcaster wearing an AEW t-shirt in all the multiverse, Charlie Boom Boom Rivera, my dear brother. Happy Comic Book Day, sir.
Happy Comic Book Day to you, Charlie. And I do have to say that in this day and age, we're living in an era of constant influxes of information, right? We're just being bombarded right and left. And I don't know about yourself, but I certainly keep my ear to the rail, whether it's because I want to chew your ear off, when I want to text up your day, or I want to bring it over here to the good folks at US Comics Cast and discuss. Here I was just collating, tabulating, jotting down, making crib sheets, the whole 9 yards. There was one thing after another, and I was literally preparing my verbal assault on Stephen Dwarf, or whatever the hell his dumb blade losing a fight to name has is, where he had the audacity to say that he felt bad for the good folks over at Black Widow, the good money-making marvels over there at that particular studio. I made up curses. I was so incensed. I couldn't believe it. I was looking at his IMDb page. I was preparing insults for every entry, even for movies that I secretly liked, but wasn't willing to admit to because I was so angry. The audacity at this nobody to take a shot at a successful franchise, but then my brother, my little baby boy gift at 10 years old, mom said, I'm giving you the best gift, the one that you've asked for all of your life. Here is Charles Gilbert Rivera.
Sucker.
Come to cry it up all night in your room. Come to take all your favorite toys. Come to take the Christmas gift, the Macross jet with the fighter whose helmet came off, taking that away from you. Charlie, yes, that Charlie himself says, John, nah. Forget about all that, all of the heat that you're bringing. Leave the salt at the store where you picked it up. Instead, why don't you go ahead and watch this flick that's streaming right now on Amazon? The Tomorrow War. So I said, all right, Charlie, let me take my copious notes, preparing like I was pulling an all-nighter, getting ready for the midterm, SATs wrapped up in one. I said, all right, Charlie, let's click it on. So for anyone who has sat through that rant, I apologize. And certainly anyone who has, as of yet, not watched The Tomorrow War, I would advise you to go ahead and advance this recording. Thank you for the spoiler warning, Charlie. Push ahead to about the 20-25 minute mark, and you should be safe. But Charlie, in the ways of ancient Rome at the Colosseum, like we were wearing ivy leaves around our heads, let's go ahead and give a thumbs up, thumb down to our particular reception to Chris Pratt and Company's Tomorrow War, shall we? Thumbs up on 3. Huh? 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to blame you for all the spit all over screen number 1.
I have to first start here. You misinterpreted my text, because my text was, for our joint subject, we should do the Tomorrow War. That's how you read it. You read it with like an up inflection, when really I was about 3 minutes away. I was about 3 minutes away from the end of the film, and I was full like this fucking. I'm not going to be the only
You son of a
asshole
bitch.
to watch it.
So
What
you were drinking the milk from the container out of the fridge, which is mistake number one because you are definitely allergic.
Wild levels of allergic.
Hey, John, drink this. Is it bad?
Pretty
Not
much.
even if it's bad. Just drink this. And like a dumb that I am, I took it and put it right to my bubbling lips and knocked it back. Oof, magoof.
So wait, but let me quantify one thing quickly before the tirade starts. I do think people should watch it. I just also
clearly
think,
you want everybody to taste the gross rotten milk out of the fridge.
and I swear I just want to make one comment, then I'm going to pass it right back to you. What a fucking dumb movie. Did I use up too many dumbs? Wow.
I think you still, let me tally up. You still have 42 left.
Oh, I'm going to use them
during the course of the
dumb McDumb. There's a couple more. I'm going to throw it to you.
You know what's funny too? I sat there, and as it was happening, it almost like
it was happening to you, as they were forcing into your eyeballs.
Someone who has walked away from multiple car accidents, none of which were my own fault. You know how they say, like, you can, and I say, you can think back on it, and it's almost like it happens in slow motion.
Yes.
I have a distinct thought of having particular ideas come to my mind in comparisons and funny narratives, and thinking, well, that was a pretty thorough thought process. At least a half an hour of this flick must have gone by, and it was like 32 seconds at most.
Well, because this is a rare occasion where a movie was also a trilogy, but also as well as zero well thought out narratives. Like, it somehow was its own set of sequels. But much like the Tomorrow War was the laziest title you could come up with, they went from tomorrow to yesterday and back again, except everything you expect to happen happens, but like dumb. So
here's my thing. And I'm just going to put it out there just as a reminder. Anybody who listens or watches the show knows our policy. It's not our job to say, oh, this was good or this was bad.
Yeah, you ruined your own fucking Friday night with a movie.
Well, it's more so the case. You know us. You know our particular taste. Charlie and I happen to be on agreement. We did not like this movie. Now,
wait.
I will say this after you go ahead and...
I was going to say, let's preface it. What's a similar movie or movies so for me, it clearly is ripping off some bangers. If you want to just go a better version of this movie, Starship Troopers is this movie good. If you want to go much dumber, Time Cop is this movie,
Charlie,
but good.
I sat there, again, that mental checklist, and I'm... So we're right in the heart of the Loki series right now, and there's a lot of things happening, and people are jumping to conclusions as nerds are wont to do.
With one episode left, I'm like, what's Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny? I have the roadmap behind me.
But that being said, with as much as happening narrative wise, there's a lot of like little Easter eggy things peppered in. And it's a fun watch, even for that reason alone. Say, oh, I remember this. I get this reference.
I remember.
It's a deeper dive, right? It's more for the geekier fans, the more invested fans, as opposed to the surface. Like, I've heard of Marvel, sure. Yeah. That's how I felt to a certain degree on the opposite side of the coin. Watching this, I was like, okay, well, that was taken from this, and so 100%. The thing that I walked away from above all else, above the nonsensical plot, above the lack of information about things that were probably important and we should have known, the having to rewind. Never do I stop a movie and rewind to pick up something that I may have missed. I was watching it with two dogs. They weren't having conversations with me, right? I didn't miss it for any reason. They explained a very, very important plot point should have been by like
Conjecture?
his
With conjecture? With
I-
his buddy
I
who
think
took a
the actual-
fucking guess?
quote was, I think, do you think, Chris Pratt, did you invent this goofy fucking time? I stand by my initial thought that like time travel flicks
Unless
or
it's
time
about
travel as a device is a fucking worse. Well, it's like a river and you can like no, you could have done an entire movie. Please don't. About how the fuck during the course of a war when like everybody on earth is dying, also as well as you couldn't figure out how to make a better mousetrap to fucking to catch these clearly rip-off aliens.
They were
no
cool
instead you're
rip-offs,
like,
though.
hey, I was just taking a shit in the woods and I think I invented time travel. You're kidding me.
You know how back
Yeah.
in the day there'd be like the knockoff He-Man toys, but they were like
course.
wrestlers, and then they were like space scientists,
Dude,
and then they were also as
fucking-
well as
the
like
warlock
winged
and the
shoulders.
wizard figure, like the same body style. Charlie, I sat there when you're talking about. Look, the laws of U.S. Comics, the sacraments, right, so to speak. There's two that were just shit all over, like after Thanksgiving shits. No time travel and no derivatives. They were like, "Oh, is that your rules? Yeah, here's your commandments right here, boys." So the derivative train didn't stop. It was an express train, and it was fucking less enjoyable than the fucking train to Wuhan. So you have I don't know. You mentioned it yourself.
Yeah.
Fucking absolutely. There are clear moments purely lifted from Starship Troopers. I mean, directly fucking lifted.
A
There
lot
are
of
moments lifted
visuals.
from Aliens. There was with the fucking Terminator, and the audacity of this writer had to like, well, I never saw that. You fucking liar! Stop lying. You
And
not only did you
also-
see these movies, you took notes. Like you're the kid that handed in your fucking finals. And you're like, I didn't even read Tom Sawyer, but my story's about a boy who doesn't want to face the face. Shut up! You're lying.
My favorite is our wonderful comment section. We are live today, so please, please, please let us know. Oh my God, hot off the presses, dropping the best line, the Carlos Mencia of movies. Ellis, you beautiful, beautiful man.
Ellis.
I love you endlessly.
Ellis,
Wow,
that's
that's
a
just
custom
fantastic.
T-shirt begging to be made, and
Done.
you see all those profits because
Um,
that was well earned, sir.
Our boys over on YouTube chiming in. We're making you want to see the movie just by virtue to see if it's
Paul.
actually that bad.
Yes.
But also,
Paul over on YouTube.
here's-
This is one of those movies that you tell like Charlie, you like taste this, but you don't pull it, Charlie. Let them know you're like it is so fucking bad, like in the
Well, I
construction.
wanted content, and maybe you and I would have had a difference of opinion for once. Here's something that's vital to me, though. This movie proves a couple things.
Yes.
It proves that super talented people sometimes work on shit. Because the sound design of the film, I've never been more enthralled by like the sounds of the action scenes. Was a fucking symphony. Some of the design aspects of this movie,
I give
while
you a lot
borrowed-
of credit, like that you could tune out the doo-doo to like find the
Well, that's
gold
because
nuggets.
they were
floating
saying
in the bowl.
nothing. The weirdest part, and again, we do have the spoiler warning up, so a couple things I do want to bring special attention to. This liar McLiarson, who like this is like his third script ever sold, but the fact that he gets to do that job and I do my job makes me want to kill myself. They literally play up this whole idea. First of all, you know how a good movie will sneak in like a little bit of message. We talk about giving the medicine with the candy, or it'll
Sure.
like make a point. This movie, if it's mentioned in the first act, it's paid off by the seventh act. And yes, I know normally shit's a 3-act structure. Not in this trilogy of fucking 2.5 hours of bullshit.
Yeesh, McGee.
Literally, the guy's like, I wish I had purpose. He saves the world. The dumb little bitch is like, I like science. She's the best at science. The old man is like, I want to meet my granddaughter. He meets the fuck out of that granddaughter.
There's no doubt about it that the fucking star the walk away star of this movie is that old man's fucking muscles.
Oh my
He
God,
is
jacked. J. Jonah Jameson is going to be the one to defeat Spider-Man. He's going to hold him over his head
Spider-Man.
and snap him.
He looks like he could fucking slap up Venom and Spawn.
That should have been the
and
end.
Carnage.
That should have been the end of the last Avengers. Is J. Jonah Jameson running in with Avengers Assemble, tearing off his shirt, and just dropping a fucking elbow like he's the people's champ.
Holy shit.
What I hate about this movie is when they rip off shit, they don't rip it off enough. So they have a chick alien because they refuse to call her a queen. Although I only see fucking one. It's like, call the fucking queen. It helps your story. Also, there's this fucking dumb MacGuffin that eats up an hour and 45 minutes of this fucking piece of shit movie where they're like, we got to get the special formula, 72%, 79%, 99%, but it's in one scene. So I'm like, just have the fucking first one work then. If you're not going to do anything, then guess the fuck what? Spoiler alert, they beat the aliens by killing the aliens. They didn't use the special shit at all. They just shot the fuck out.
They used it on like one alien, like, oopsie, I dropped it. I gotta tell you this. I have a theory. It's not mine, but I live by it. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. So this movie starts, and we got a like fun little Christmas scene, and she's doing little like, It's a Wonderful Life hee-haws. I'm like, this is cute. And the little girl, and we've got what's her face? We've got friggin' Betty from Glow is there, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe Charlie is onto something. And it quickly devolves. First of all, you want me to believe a lot of things. I'm going to suspend my disbelief. Okay, so time travel can only occur from one raft to another raft on the river. All right, I'll let it go.
I didn't hate that idea.
It's terrible, Charlie. But that being said,
Bill and Ted did it. Time's always moving forward.
That time moving forward is fine, but the fact that you can only jump from one point to another point,
well,
and also
John, it was the middle of the war.
We built it's like chewing gum and chicken wire. Tell me during a war where you're gonna get chewing gum and or chicken wire, you lying son of a bitch.
They should have just bitten the. They should have just stopped my criticism and just had Doc Brown in the future being like, "It's not almost here, Marty."
The second that you asked me to believe that a little American child gives two rat shits about the fucking World Cup, you're lying to me. I don't believe anything now. Aliens could show up and say, knock, 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 knocking on the other side of the screen. Say, John, this is real. This is really going to happen. I wouldn't believe you. So that's A, number one. Then you have B, number two. The people from the future, they come now. Not 2-3 people. Reasonable. So they basically fucking invaded the stadium. And then she starts speaking. She pulls a full Bane and starts talking to the stadium and the world. Charlie, where is her mic, man? Basically, she was like in the first Avenger movies where they were like, I'm going to hold my finger to my ear and now we can communicate. You motherfuckers, you got nothing in your ear. We can see. This is HD, bro. I can see into your ear canal, Chris. Stop lying.
No,
so the
it's
second
super tiny,
that
though.
they bullshitted me about like her being able to have a magnified fucking voice right then and there, you're fucking lying. So much of this movie made no earthly sense whatsoever.
Just so dumb.
The time paradox of like, well, we're only going to send people into the future if they would have died before the war started actually makes sense because in that scenario you're trying to avoid a time paradox. Correct, the time cop of it all. No mullets were harmed in the filming of this crappy movie. But just the fact that they had the audacity to think this was going to be a theatrically released movie. Do you know how hard people can throw cups? Like, especially if you get those big, heavy-duty cups with like the pictures of movies on it. Like, you could put some real heft behind that and do some damage to the screen. What are you doing?
I would have been. Been absolutely furious. Anyone who says that this movie was intelligently designed, fucking fibber, and I don't respect them.
You're an alien if you're saying that. You're saying that because you're like, if this is their defense when we ultimately take this joint over, we're in good shape. We're in good shape.
You're not fucking lying. Bottom line,
The reptilians are lying to us.
and you know I don't respect liars. I don't respect being lied to because I suspect that secretly producing this piece of shit may have been George Lucas.
Oh, well, there's one thing that he has in common, Charlie. What is that?
George Lucas is a liar.
He's a liar. Put him up, kids.
Shot first.
Twinkie.
Salute.
Salute.
Oh, it got so warm. It got so warm.
I'm angry. I'm drinking out of my Superman cup. This one's for Richard Donner. Rest in peace, sir.
Rest in peace. If you're just joining us, welcome to the party, my boy Jose. Joining us for the first time over on YouTube. Jose, make sure you join in on the conversation. But to start that conversation, my dear brother, I'm going to need you to start my time.
Boop.
Oh, yeah. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago, and I have to mention it again. How fucking excited are you for Masters of the Universe Revelations? Are you just ready to drink from that cup? The more I see about it, they finally dropped the story trailer. We had that amazing trailer set to, frankly, a song that's now been used 9 times. But anyone who uses it, I'm like, yeah, the fucking song is so on the nose.
Usage of that song since Footloose, quite frankly.
I was gonna say Short Circuit, but that movie, in hindsight, a little racist. So I didn't grow up with He-Man the way that you did, or ever, as you can tell by The Office. My question to you is the art design. There's been a little bit of controversy already. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I know a possible spoiler is little Prince Adam being a little B.I.H. before he has the power is something you used to talk about for absolutely forever. I inherited a lot of the toys from you. So for me, seeing like Battle Cat and just seeing all this, it's like little Cringeor just talking shit. I was like, they're fucking doing it. Because for me,
Cringeor basically turned into Beast from X-Men. He's like, rather, Adam, I believe that the angle of the dangle is perpetually to the heat of the beat. Yeah, really, Cringeor? Really?
Hearing again, the voices are so iconic. But to hear Mark Hamill as Skeletor is one of those things that it's just different and just the same enough to just be glorious. Like Luke Skywalker can voice anything he wants as far as I'm concerned. No Quildor, at least in the first season.
Sorry, Ellis.
Right out of the gate, though, there's a lot of people crying foul because there was a rumor that went around that He-Man wasn't really the star. And instead, his sister was going to show up and be like, I'm better than you. And you know it, like she was mother-sucking MJF.
She-Ra?
Not She-Ra.
Teela, you're talking about.
Yes.
So I'm going to just jump in and interject a little something. For anyone who doesn't know, Teela is not just the daughter of Duncan, better known as Man-at-Arms. She's not just the fuzzy britchinest wearing chick in Eternia that you've ever heard. Like, she was rocking fuzzy britches before before they even thought of covering up the hole in Schindler's List. I almost said, wow, those are very different movies.
Whoa.
But that being said, Teela single-handedly ushered me in to the fun-filled era of adolescence.
I was so afraid where that was going.
She took me the first few steps, and then, granted, whom will always be referred to in my mind as Slave Leia, she took me all the way home, and she's like, you know what? Teela was right. There's some good stuff over the bridge, little boy. Teela was like my first real crush as a kid. But even back then in the original, Tila didn't really take no shit. So if Kev came along, and again, I'm gonna hand it right back to you, Charlie, because I know you want to
Snooch to
walk
the
it in.
booch.
Kev came in and said, you know what, we are going to copyright patent pending John and Charlie Rivera, U.S. Comics Cast, reroute a little bit of the story, because the fact of the matter is, if you just came out and said, oh, here is chapter 2 of your He-Man saga, He-Man versus Skeletor, to a very large degree, it's going to be a little bit ho-hum. You would really need to make such a massive change. Like Ellis said, you wouldn't have needed a Quildor level event to be like, oh, this is different. So it's a continuation, absolutely. But shit has changed in your personal life, in narrative form, whatever the case might be. If there's never any changes, then what are you doing? You're spinning your wheels. We already live in a world of magic and technology. You got a big damn castle where you're getting your mail, but also as well as your car flies and your cat is like talking to you. Come on, are you wearing fuzzy underwear?
Yeah,
the answers have to be given.
These fuckers really do. When you talk about writers who go into the toy box, I mean, it's something that I think. And again, it's eventually people will get to see what the U.S. Comics universe is. But we really kind of took a He-Man approach of like, what do we like? I'm gonna take a little bit of this. I'm gonna take a UFO, but also as well as some caveman shit. Because what I love about Revelation, I keep forgetting the name, but it's not He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Revelation. Right. It's Masters of the Universe. He is setting out to tell a He-Man story because He-Man is your lead, but you never had to call it.
He's the center.
Yeah, it wasn't like, and again, this one's maybe controversial because some people would probably say the joke should be Snake Eyes and the G.I. Joe, but really it was like Duke and the G.I. Joe, Optimus Prime and the Transformers or the Autobots. There's something to be said about your lead.
Are you talking about the Cobra Commander show and the Decepticon half hour?
Yes,
that's how I refer to them.
I'm sorry. The Decepticon half hour extravaganza. Yeah. That's my
basically
fault.
whatever side of the equation dressed better. I'm like, yeah, I'm rooting for those guys.
The cooler whoever like has the like best ironing job. You're like, you're not for a paramilitary.
Whoever has the sharpest creases. Like, I get legitimately angry even now. Storm Shadow doesn't take a loss, bro. Storm Shadow was like the fucking original Eddie Guerrero. He's like, whatever you got to do to win, bro. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, son.
My favorite thing about Storm Shadow is I would like to imagine that if he did get blood on his white on white ensemble, he would have a change of like clothing.
A lot of people don't know Storm Shadow actually invented the Tide Pen. He's like, fucking Snake Eyes, you motherfucker.
But to jump back into Masters of the Universe, one thing I find very interesting is it's like a very hard path to walk because the faithful, He-Man and his toy line haven't left pop culture. They've left the center of pop culture, but they've always been there. We are now on the third.
They've been on the fringes.
I think we're on the fourth go around with their figure line. There's now like classics and then super class. Like they're back in store shelves with the classic designs because it's such an iconic toy.
Well, yeah, so we actually spoke about the toy arc, and like we did a whole, if not episode, a whole segment about He-Man and kind of like how it came about. But they were always toy centric. Like that was the focus of it. Like it's a lot of it is real goofy stuff that doesn't hold up to adult sensibilities because they were just making dumb shit up on the fly. And also, as well as, you want to talk about Star Wars having mixed canon lines? Fucking He-Man. They were like, at first, he comes out of he was basically Tarzan in the first little comics that were inserted with the toys. Like, yeah, he came out of the jungle and he's this and he's that. I'm like, he looks like the poster boy for the Aryan Nation. He came out of the jungle? What jungle are you fucking talking about?
With
the Banana Republic, maybe? Unbelievable. He had a Floby back then? But that all being said, a lot of stuff was retconned and a lot of stuff was shaped up, and Skeletor went through one of the biggest evolutions that we saw,
Yeah.
and the toys similarly. So we had our original toys from the 80s. They were world beaters. Then they decided to take him like Fast and the Furious. They're like, let's take him to space because He-Man's family. So they send him to space. He's got a laser sword and a shield and a ponytail. Nobody was having it. And then Charlie comes along and gets me the dopest. I should have dug it out. The dopest He-Man Classics figure, which is worth like 100 bones right now. So they basically, the Classics line was like fan fueled, and
Yeah,
they
back when
made
Matty Collectors wound up keeping it.
everybody, Mossman and Stinkor and fucking Ninjak and Two-Headed Douchebag, and they made fucking everybody. They even made the Giants, which were where the original Toyland died right before they came out. They were coming out with like fucking big. This was the era of the USS Flag, Charlie.
Yeah.
Where like kids' toys were literally taller than they were. I didn't even get the sentence out of my mouth come Christmas time. I was like, "Hey, mom and dad, can I have the USS?" And they're like, "Ah, we saw your grades, motherfucker. You'll be lucky if you get a fucking candy cane. Get out of here, Charlie's crying. Go feed him."
So and feed me you did a whole Italian bread, thus the fluffy brother. What I think is crazy though is you brought up the evolution that He-Man went through, and I think this new series, and again, there's a lot of people who don't like the art design. From our comment section, Tila looks like a dude. She's one
Alice, you're
step away from having
crazy.
a 5 o'clock shadow.
Come on, man.
But like again, I think some things have to change with the time, and this being a big Master of the Universe, pick who's your favorite. It doesn't just have to be He-Man. Come aboard, ladies. Come aboard. Or someone like me who, generally speaking, with pro wrestling, as much as I love it, and I love the Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, I'm really there for Penelope Ford, Chris Statlander. Like, you show me some girls throwing hands.
Sure.
I'm now attentive for many reasons beyond just the sweet action. But it had me think about the fact that this new He-Man series is going to be accompanied by another He-Man series that's a reboot.
Well,
so this is like a sequel series.
They're moving like time. They're moving in the same direction, but they're in different lanes. So
Yeah.
just to clarify it, first and foremost, She-Ra has a reboot going. And it's going
awesome.
for like 5 years. It's doing very, very well. There was no need to drag poor She-Ra into what's going on over in He-Man land. So I'm pretty confident that She-Ra is going to stay in her lane and continue whooping ass. They have brought her to an entirely new segment of viewership, which is ultimately, as a creator, what you want to do, because
Absolutely.
you can't keep on making stuff for geezers like me and playing the member game, because it's gonna come down to like, well, that's different, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, that's so radically different, I've never looked at it that way. And you maybe rope in some lukewarm fans who weren't, adamant and just waiting. I'm still waiting for my movie, my live action adaptation.
So we have She-Ra.
Right.
We have
She-Ra's
Master of the
separate.
Universe Revelations.
Right,
Then
which is
there's
a
going to be-
continuation of the original series.
Then there's going to be a new CGI reboot for
Reboot,
the
right.
kids.
Yeah.
And they're still working on the movie.
On the
We
live
got
action.
He-Man on He-Man on He-Man on He-Man.
True.
And one of my hopes
That's hot.
is that He-Man does the opposite of what so many movies have done in the past, which is they make a banger adaptation. If I was making the movie, I'd be like, which one of these do people seem to like the most? Let's do a version like that. Because Quildor, God bless him, he got a toy.
Notwithstanding,
I also am a
goofy, big-eared motherfucker.
I don't think Friends did a great service of showing any people that weren't white. But yeah, sure, Monica can hang out with He-Man, I guess, especially when he looks like Drago with that beautiful cape.
Monica didn't just hang out with He-Man / Drago. She hung out with the boss. Like, she got around. Rachel was running around with leprechauns. Monica's like, whatever, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I got this on the wraps.
I'm gonna show up in half of a convertible in the only scene that Charlie gives a fuck about in that piece of shit movie that I secretly kind of love.
The worst part about that movie, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that they were like, we're out of monies. So they were literally like, this page. They were ripping pages out as they went. and poor Frank Langella, I think,
Yes, who
plays
crushes
Skeletor.
it as
He like
Skeletor.
he pulled a whiplash himself. He's like, he got himself all jacked up and like, well, we're not gonna see any of that shit. You're gonna be in robes. He's like, well, I trained for the fight. Yeah, that's cut too. That poor son of a bitch. And Ellis makes a very good point. He absolutely did kill it as Skeletor, the cinematic Skeletor as written.
I'll be
Nobody,
back. No, you weren't, bud.
nobody fucking dropped heat like cartoon Skeletor. Cartoon Skeletor dropped fucking shade like RuPaul before RuPaul picked up her first lipstick. And Skeletor didn't even have lips, so that's a real achievement. Fucking Skeletor was the saltiest son of a bitch that Eternia ever saw or will see again.
To be fair, he started off looking like a blue version of you with flowing locks, and then had his goddamn acid that he tried to throw in his brother's face,
Look, man, that
thrown
happens.
back in his face. What are you gonna do? But
That's a lesson to learn, Charlie. You keep that in mind, motherfucker.
so I know I'm excited, but then it had me thinking about all these adaptations that were just fucking awesome, but in the other direction. So of course we have the live action He-Man, which again, it has its charms, but like so does
It was the
Superman
thing.
3. But for me, what I found really amazing is the ones that did it opposite. We had like, do you remember the animated RoboCop series? It was fucking amazing. Dumb. Why are you marketing RoboCop for children, you
RoboCop
monsters?
Was the most uber violent, like RoboCop for me cemented that idea that like, well, chapter 1 in your new hero story, stop a rape. Like if you stop a rape, you've clearly established this guy's a hero. Doesn't make a difference if he's robo junk from the clavicle down. And then I proceeded as a child to see no fewer than 50 would-be rapes being like being stopped. Almost to the point I'm like, that somebody always stops it, right? Hello? Is this thing on? No. Oh, people don't stop it. Oh, okay. Oh,
Wouldn't
well, that's
it be
fucked up then.
fucking, for the
Bad
record,
script writing.
for the record, let's edit all movies that depict that fucking horrible nonsense with RoboCop showing up and shooting their dicks. That should be the new.
He targeted.
That's gonna be the Charlie cut. It's just gonna be every fucking film is like, haha, honey, we're gonna boop 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 boop, rat-tat-tat. Movie fucking over, baby. Movie over.
Just I wish that RoboCop, like so like a circuit got like, so maybe he didn't become the original cop that he was before. Like you can leave all that mushy stuff aside. I would rather he go the opposite direction and go full Vietnam buck. He just starts like wearing their shot off testicles around his neck like on a necklace. He's smoking the reefer. He's going to fucking Saigon for like a cheap date and a couple of beers.
Consent is necessary. Jingle, 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 testicles everywhere.
How much for the champagne room? Damn, RoboCop.
Bum 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 bum. Credits. Bum 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 bum.
He's got a pimp Cadillac. It hits the rampart. Oh shit, that was RoboCop.
These are RoboCop's witches. Just a fucking sea of like, just all his girls, working girls he takes care of. Did we just write the greatest RoboCop sequel ever?
I want to see it. I just want to see his big cyborg ass wearing a fur coat and like he looks like he's in Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat and like the big iceberg slim hat.
Here's what I want. We have a talented fan base.
He's got the long fucking the R2D2 dagger that he's got. Just he's leaning on that with his pimp swagger.
You can tell by the way he does his walk. He's a RoboCop. Here's what I want. We have very, very talented fans. I need someone with talent or without. I need RoboCop dressed like a pimp with Superman flying over saying, "Damn, Jim, that's a bad outfit." That's what I need in my life. Someone make that art happen.
So super fan Carolyn just dropped it. She DM'd me. She couldn't include it in this in the show thread for whatever reason, but there is literally a What Would Skeletor Do book, which frankly we need to own. Toot sweet, and maybe if you guys are lucky and you're good fans, we'll do a live reading. I don't know.
Oh, that would
Carolyn,
be a good,
thank you.
That would be
Thank
a
you
good
for that
special.
dynamite drop in. That's awesome.
So as great as the idea of RoboCop in Vietnam with balls hanging from his neck and assembling a stable of bitches, as
I've
good
seen
as-
some shit, creep.
I feel like he would definitely hang out with with Rambo,
100%.
who somehow also got a children's cartoon. Rambo and the Freedom Force. What in the fuck? Talk about we'll make money off of whatever we can, because that's like G.I. Joe
Just for
starring
toys.
a crazy person.
That's all the entire thing. First of all, the Rambo cartoon was tourable, as Charles would say.
Hey, yo, I got a Rambo.
But it was derived off of not First Blood, because the fact of the matter is that First Blood, one guy dies and it's an accident. In Rambo, audience members were killed. Like, he kills everybody in Rambo. Once the sequels start carrying that Rambo tag, much like the cartoon and subsequent toy line, he is just dropping bodies right and left. He's like the fucking plague over in Europe. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
So
that they made a toy out of that. And the cartoon.
I'm gonna put you through a difficult game right now, which I want you to tell me which was worse.
Oh, I'm ready.
Was the cartoon adaptation of First Blood worse
Rambo
or better than the live action adaptation of G.I. Joe? G.I. Joe Enter Cobra. What was it? It was like G.I. Joe, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's going to have his worst performance ever, also as well as being a mask.
The
Rise of Cobra. The only Cobra that rose was fucking, I don't know. I was going to make a dick joke, but I can't because that movie's that terrible. That movie's the opposite
that movie's
of sex
so
drugs.
bad it killed Charlie's sense of humor. No, yeah, I don't deal in good or bad. I deal in like, I liked it. Meh, I hated it. Very simple system I have.
I just need you to rank them. Would you rather?
I disliked the live action G.I. Joe flick more than I didn't actually dislike the Rambo cartoon.
You're like, I got
but that's
some
because I
toys.
was a dumb kid. I was a dumb kid. I'm like, yeah, no, this totally makes sense. Absolutely. Sure.
Do you know
and while we're at it, have him stop a rape, because that makes him a hero. What the fuck? Children shouldn't be thinking about rape all the time, Hollywood, in the 80s.
Do you know that there was a Starship Trooper cartoon? Like a bunch of, like, they just kept trying to be like, talk about people who don't get the point. Adapting, like, the Rambo sequels into a Freedom Force cartoon, I can kind of get into. But Starship Troopers is like mocking war films.
Did they have the unisex shower playset for the toy line that came out?
If they did, I'd have it behind me.
Have you ever read any of the books that inspired the movie?
I read a couple.
Funny enough, here's the super nerd in me coming out. So the novel, it's not a novelization. The book that inspired the movie First Blood is outstanding. Anyone who has not, and his Frank somebody or another, the author's name is
Frank Stallone, the most talented Stallone.
He's like, I've been told by some veterans, and they say, so the book that inspired First Blood, the movie, the script, and subsequent movie, it bounced around Hollywood for like a decade. They couldn't get it made. Like every big Hollywood
action. This is depressing as fuck.
Well, it wasn't. I shouldn't say that. Leading men, Hollywood leading men, were all attached to it, and then it just wouldn't get made until coming off of that Rocky heat. They were like, let's give it to Stallone, and then they made subsequent changes. So in the book version, he dies. He and the sheriff, in
Like a good
in
ending.
essence, yeah.
Not
well,
to
it's an
shit
ending.
on, not to shit on Tomorrow War. The whole opening of that piece of shit movie was like, my life is intended for something. Then twist, spoiler, fucking assholes like, I'm dead in 4 years, and then like, what happened? Be like, random accident. Be like, he should have killed himself. The fucking, you set it up.
Well, and I hate to give credit for something that I just took a doo-doo on, but the fact that like some folks, if they knew that they were gonna die, it was like, then you could Scrooge something about it. You're like, oh, I'll go buy a turkey and I'll start buying Christmas presents. We're cool, right? So like, if you had cancer, God forbid, there's really nothing you can do. Whereas like, he left his family, and subsequently he left them so fast he got into a car accident and died. So one might argue, unless you're making a whole like Final Destination flick about it, you're like, if you don't leave your family, and your wife is like one of the best wrestlers on Glow, so she'll probably mess you up, but do you right, stay, bro, stay, and you won't die. Like, what better motivation is there to stay in a marriage than if you leave, you will die?
I know someone. I know a very handsome Puerto Rican who had the opposite. If he stayed, he would have died. He's not on the show or anything. Also, it's not most of my high school and college years.
All right, folks. Have a great week.
My question, I'm going to throw it because my time's about wrap, but I will throw it to the absolute comment section with their bangers. I want to hear in the comment thread on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you find it most convenient. I want to know what movie adaptation you want to see. A couple contenders.
From a cartoon or?
In either direction. A couple great examples we already have. We have Basic Instinct, the Saturday morning cartoon, Dynamite, and we also have RoboCop starring in the next season of Law & Order SVU.
I already know mine. Can I throw mine out?
Yes,
just
please.
To give people a little something to think about.
Yes,
I'm
please.
choosing to go the other way because Charlie, as much as he kept me grounded and kept me awake, screaming through the night when I'm trying to sleep. I got damn Catholic school in the morning. Charlie don't care. He also kept me watching those Disney cartoons far longer than I should have. So give me a live action adaptation. And Disney, I know you're listening because you're probably going to buy us.
Please, God.
And you make live action adaptations out of damn everything nowadays. Give me a live action adaptation of Gummy Bears. Can you just imagine? And our boy John can direct it because everything he touches turns to gold over there. Can you imagine like fully realized John Goodman voiced big ass bears like wearing half shirts, fully winning the pooing it? They're just like bouncing around, and it's also as well as like a medieval tale. So it's like Disney and Gummy Bears, but also as well as Game of Thrones. Oh, and it's got the most fire theme song of any cartoon in all of the 80s and early 90s. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the Gummy Bears.
I'm in as long as we can get Bad Mary to cover the theme song to bring it into a new generation.
We'll give them an original song in the body of the movie for sure, and then we'll have them cover the theme song over the end credits. You know what? I know a few people. I'll make a call. Maybe we can get that Bad Mary cover of the Gummy Bears theme song on an episode near you.
I like it.
I'll see what I can do.
So for me, I feel like all things are best served when someone else pays for it. And this show would be absolutely impossible with our kind and delightful sponsors. My dear brother, why don't you tell them the first sponsor of this week?
Well, that's really simple. Right here on Facebook Gaming, we have the SGT, Sergeant Finesse, 2 streams a day, outstanding gaming content, supporter games, giveaways, contests. He's throwing out shirts right and left like they're on fire right now. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today. Throw him a like, a follow, consider becoming a supporter. If you need a pick-me-up, though, have a Sam Adams. No, that's not true. If you need a pick-me-up, go over to Sneak energy.com. Tastes so good, and it keeps you hydrated. Use code SGT at checkout if you're looking for some fresh new gear, like you were a Ghostbuster and you need to keep it real, and also as well as Colt Cabana, also known as Cult Cabana. Go ahead and check out geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE at checkout there. When the Sarge is on deck, you salute.
And now that you have extra things to look at with your eyeballs, you can win stuff, you can enjoy those amazing streams. You need something for your ear holes, and you got two of them, sirs. And that's what Bad Mary Band
and ladies.
And ladies. I was using like the genderless version.
Sir is not a genderless version.
The way I use it is. Same with fellas, my people. Bad Mary Band, one of my absolute favorite bands. They're about to drop an absolutely spectacular cover of the Daria theme song, so you know they're a band that likes to party. Bad Mary Band on all social media platforms. You can support them financially by going to their website, badmaryband.com. Get yourself some swag, get yourself some CDs. You can join their mailing list and you'll get some free stuff. I just did it today. It's freaking awesome. Follow them on social media. Support them. My favorite part is they are available on every single music streaming service. So you actually don't need to put money up front, but you should. So listen to some free tunes, then join their Patreon, patreon.com/Bad Mary Band, where you can support them financially. $1, a nickel, $50. You can do it all. Bad Mary Band.
They don't want nickels, bro.
They're the truth. They'll take a ton of nickels. I have no doubt about it. Touche. So send me the nickels. I'll write them a check. Bad Mary Band, please check them out. With all that said, my beautiful, beautiful people, my dear brother, are you ready for me to start your time?
Yeah, may as well. Why not?
Boop.
Thank you. So
you're welcome. Very polite of you.
So, like I had mentioned before, in this day of like, do I go out now or do I still stay in? Do I wear a mask? Do I wear it on my face, or is it like more like an elbow pad at this point? What do I do? Like, just somebody come in, tell me what to do. I would just love it. Ultimately, what I ended up doing with my free time is I took a rather like a refresher deep dive into my backlog of comics.
Nice.
And I came across a little tidbit that I had filed away personally, but it had not brought up. It hasn't really come up in conversation, which is rare because WandaVision was about as popular as, I don't know, The Cure for what ails you. So I gave a reread to The House of M.
Ooh, so good.
Now, so good. If you haven't read it, read The House of M. It is one of those game changer type comics where, like, if you don't pick up comics on a weekly basis and you missed the events of House of M, whatever you read after the fact would make no earthly sense. And you're like, I'll go read some Archies because nothing ever changes there. So, anyone who did read it, spoiler alert, you would recall that Scarlet Witch, as powerful as she is, she went ahead and pulled the dirty trick, unlike a ton of fucking mutants, and took away their powers.
She literally was like, nah.
Yeah, she was like, no, sorry, buddy. No
too
room
many
at
of
the
you
end.
fucks.
But also, as well as, she made Krakoa, if I think I'm pronouncing that properly. So
Fuck
the
if I know.
mutants finally had like their homeland. Granted, you had a megalomaniacal type Fidel Castro-esque leader in Magneto. But look, nothing's perfect. You don't want to pay income tax, you take what you get. So it lit the fires. I'm like, let me go back and read. Now, one of the things personally that I hate more than anything else are the, I don't want to call them know-it-alls because I certainly fit into that category.
I was going to say,
I might
Jordan?
know more than yous. Like the people that lean over during movies, like, you know what? This is important. Hate those people, especially when I catch myself doing it. I hate me. Most of those folks, when Scarlet Witch first appeared on the cinematic screen, certainly on the small screen when they only had their friends and family around them to annoy, they felt very safe. Like, that's Magneto's daughter. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they're Magneto's kids.
Uh-oh.
Wrong. No, they're not. Much like comic books always have, and real life, if you bother to stick your head up out of the ground and pay attention, they were considered once. They were thought to be Magneto's kids, but it was clearly established that they actually are not. They're not even mutants. So when the people were like, "Oh, well, if we're gonna get them, they're now in Avengers. That means we're gonna get mutants." Ultimately, that's how it turned out because of the deal that between Fox and Sony and Disney Marvel. Yeah, we are gonna have more. We are gonna have mutants in our larger cinematic experience, which is awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
But that's new. That's not. That wasn't the plan.
Well, it wasn't the plan, and also as well as like there were characters that were being like pulled and stretched. Poor Mr. Fantastic. If it's a good thing that he was stretching ability in addition to his intellect, because they were stretching on him like he was fucking Stretch Armstrong. So I reminded myself, I'm like, yeah, that's right. So much so, you ever think of something and put it away in your back pocket? You're like, I just know what it is. Like, I get it. Like, I know that they're not mutants. So that type of rumbling, that type of shit just like went right over my head. I didn't pay much attention.
Yeah.
So I didn't even bother to correct people. I'm like, but they're not. And the way that they did it was actually very clever. For anyone who doesn't stay up on the comics, Scarlet Witch and all of her witchy goodness, fucking Stevie Nicks could learn a thing or two. So she had a little.
That's a good joke.
Thanks. So she had a spell, where she leaned into her more baser instincts. I'm not talking about underwears. She leaned into like that evil devil on the shoulder, and she said, "You know what? Fuck my family. I'm gonna cast a spell that only affects my family."
And did it look like this?
A little bit. You just need a little goofy headgear. So she cast, like Hermione herself. She cast the spell, and poor Quicksilver was like, "Ooh, you got me, bitch. You got me." But Magneto and Magda, no effect. So you don't have to be on Law and Order like Ellis wants RoboCop to be. You don't need that like gavel drop in the middle of the scene. You're like, if her magic is never fail, and her only affect my family magic fucked with Quicksilver, but did not affect Magneto, what does the math logic tree say to you? He's not her biological family.
According to our tests,
her
Magneto
father
is not the father.
She pulled a full Maury, and he was like, "Not the father!" Oh shit! He's like high-fiving Charles Xavier, picking him up out of the chair, like wiggling around. His legs just like flopping around all over the place. 100%. So Magneto is not the father, but they had this like beautiful moment. Again, spoiler alert, because this is a more recent comic. And I was like, I was reading through. When I get caught up on a character, like that's what I like to do. I'm like, oh, also as well as let me read this.
I will read every comic they've ever
appeared everything. So they recently had kind of like a hallmark moment between them. Literally, and Magneto has done dirt like Doctor Doom is like, damn dude, like that's pretty fucked up. I love it. So he has this moment in Krakoa. I'm gonna pronounce it. If I apologize, any mutants, feel free to correct me. So they having this like this event, and the name of it escapes me right now. But they have a
Krakoa prom,
and it was actually close. So it was like along the lines of like, even though you're not my biological daughter, I still love you. I'll still do anything for you. You can always come to me. And they had a very dicey relationship because he's fucking Magneto. So he does some, not the best stuff all the time.
Magneto doesn't have healthy relationships.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's got to wear that maroon helmet, because like people want to hit him with shit. So they have this whole big moment, and like it's real lovey-dovey and feels good. And then all of a sudden, people come into the room. She's lying there dead. Scarlet Witch is fucking dead.
Wow.
And Magneto is nowhere to be found. So this is leading us into the upcoming trial of Magneto, which I don't want to say they ripped us off, but we just had the trial of Spider-Man here not a few weeks ago.
And I believe he was found guilty.
He certainly was not. He had the most attractive, best lawyer that could be had for no money, and also we're a very stylish page boy.
I don't disagree that you were his lawyer. I just disagree that he wasn't found
dirty son of a bitch. So again, just to catch everybody up, in the comics, and this is separate, so you don't have to worry about seeing it on the screen, Scarlet Witch is indeed dead, but we know Marvel Comics, dead means nothing. But she is dead. Magneto.
They laugh in the face of death.
Literally, they're like, you're supposed to be. Stop laughing when you're lying on the floor. Just wait till we bury you, at least, please. So everybody thinks Magneto did it. He's going to go on trial. That's where we are. So my question to you, Charlie, after that long, rambling introduction.
I liked it.
For me, that was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, shit. He's not her father? You got to be kidding me. I love throwing that tidbit out right and left, but now I'm a douche because it's not true. Do you have any back pocket comic book moments like M. Night Shyamalan, like, oh shit, it's the plants, dude? The plants are trying to kill us, and you're not talking about Swamp Thing or Man Thing?
One of my absolute favorites of all time was actually Cable being Scott's son, which I don't think was ever like a big reveal except to dumb me. Because we're in the 90s, I'm watching the cartoon. I'm like, yo, this Cyclops guy is the shit. His girlfriend's fly as hell. He has the sick, nicest leather jackets of all time. He got dope shades. And then someone was like, you know the guy way older than him? That's his son, dude. And I was like, what? Time travel like a motherfucker? That's one of my all-time absolute
was he
favorites.
From raft to raft, and was the river moving? And shut up.
Yeah, I don't think so, but that was a huge reveal for me. Obviously with Daredevil, the amount of times that they've pulled the bullshit where it's like, guess who the nun is? His mom. Is just every single time they do it, I'm like, where's my mic? I'm gonna drop it because that shit is
like you're
dope.
Just picking up people who you know named Mike, and you're like, throwing him on the ground. Fucking shit. I agree with you completely.
To me, those always felt like Vader revealing to Luke, be like, no, bitch, your dad's alive and kicking. Because bam, 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 bam. Me, bitch. That's a
boogaloo, boogaloo, boo. So when that dropped, you were like, oh, I like this character very much. Obviously, Cyclops is one of the best. But also as well as Cable, like, oh, you're big. You got a bunch of pouches and a metal arm. Oh shit, yeah. And that gun is bigger than me. I'll root for you. Why not? So their ultimate relation did it for you. How about when a character who you're somewhat lukewarm, not Luke Skywalker, all of a sudden starts growing on you. That's where I was. I'm like, all right, let me see what's what. Again, especially at that point, a lot of the Marvel comics had a lot of crossover because they built to year-ending events, especially as the year kind of progressed. And I was still in a little bit of that hangover where I'm like, let me check out what's going in my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man world.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Spider-Man was like, cool. Like he was...
like dancing in the street?
This is not that cool. He was more like, if I was web slinging, like I could see myself. I hate to admit this out loud. I'm like, I could see myself going about my Spider-Man business this way. And then they were like, oh yeah, you remember when you thought he died? Oh, this Spider-Man is actually Doc Ock. I'm like, motherfucker. Like they caught me. That was my pick up Mike, throw him on the floor moment. I did not see it coming.
I love Doc Ock as
The
Spider-Man
worst
too.
about the superior Spider-Man, in my opinion, is that was the equivalent of like you're watching a documentary about a particular sports star or another, and they like ruin their fucking life with bad decisions, and you sit there thinking, if I had those God-given gifts, I'd be Tom Brady, right? I'd be nonstop. I would leave my pregnant wife for a Victoria's Secret supermodel. I would make all the right decisions. So you had that thought, and then here basically was the comic book equivalent of that. Poor, chubby, bowl cut, having 4 eyes, mechanical genius notwithstanding. Doc Ock is like looking at Spider-Man like, if I could do that shit, I would be the best Spider-Man ever. And he was right. Superior Spider-Man was fire. And I'll put that altered costume up against any Spider-Man costume. I love the Superior Spider-Man costume. But to get back to my original point, I did not see it coming.
Yeah, no, that's that. I mean, again, just pound for pound, it's fucking such a classic and good story. You can't help but just be blown away by it. What about when it turned out like, and again, I don't know if this necessarily fits into what you were talking about directly, but what about Thanos pulling off the snap in the comic book or the movie? I was like, that shit's never gonna happen. Or when Magneto turned out to be Zorn, which a bunch of people in hindsight were like, yeah, we all knew it. Be like, fuck, you knew it. Fuck, you knew it.
Those are the people that are like, I knew he was dead during Sixth Sense. Like,
I kicked
really,
the plug out of my computer.
Anything.
I got to plug in my computer. You guys are going to see behind me. Keep talking.
Charlie's just a plug. He's a plugger. Plug knocking out of machine. Look at that. Charlie, I hate to see you leave, but I love to watch you go.
I literally got the warning, and I was like, "Que cosa?" That was almost a panic while I'm.
What dumb motherfucker knocked the plug? Oh, it was me? It was me. All right, cool.
When I'm talking shit about Zorn, but Zorn was absolutely one. Obviously, for me, the snap. But as far as those monumentous, really, what we're talking about is kind of changes, which a lot of times. The payoff's not even the fun. It's the mystery. Like, I loved when Daredevil was behind bars one of the times, because motherfucker, it's a good thing he's a lawyer. Asshole gets locked up all the time.
Talk about like a revolving door policy. No wonder why Hell's Kitchen in that version still sucks. But like now, in Hell's Kitchen, apartments are like $4,000 a month for like a studio. Daredevil really fucking did his job in real life. Unbelievable.
You know what? The fact is fact. But one of the best things ever is when you see a character in jail. Again, for me, it's usually Daredevil because those books I'm addicted to. And then you just see another Daredevil running around. So it immediately, like, it's even dope that the laundry list can be so long. Is it Iron Fist? Is it Spider-Man? Most recently, Elektra took over the mantle. Now, that was a little bit less of a surprise. I think that was like a 2 or 3 book build-up.
I always think it's Elektra. Anytime. I was like, Red Hulk? That's Elektra.
Be like, they both wear red. It's so obvious. But, he
loves Greek food. The writing's on the wall.
Those moments are just, I mean, even very recently, The Last Ronin with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just for that buildup, you knew 3 turtles were dead. Yeah. Possibly 4. Waiting for that reveal was awesome.
Nobody thought it was going to be Michelangelo.
Because he sucks. Nobody. Anytime Michelangelo does anything dope, I'm like, that's secretly Raphael. Did he bleach his mask? Did he fuck up his laundry?
Even Splinter was like, really? I didn't think you were related. I thought you were like a salamander.
The ghost of Splinter was like, oh shit, for real though? For really real?
No, that was too hard to believe for me. Yeah, so and obviously DC, like, I know we focused a lot on the Marvel books, but like back in the day, Barbara's reveal as Oracle was like a big deal. That was a big deal. People didn't see that shit coming. That and also, as well as far as like a non-participant, a lot physically, Oracle was very, very important to the stories that were going on in that world.
Well, what's amazing is to the day, Oracle having Barbara, the creation of Oracle, on the other side of Killing Joke, that was one of those surprises and one of those new characters, especially when you compare it to a Zorn or when people borrow Daredevil's mantle, you know Matt's going to get it back, or even to a lesser extent, Spider-Man kind of fighting his way back.
I want to see somebody take up Foggy's mantle.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta go get coffee again, son of a bitch.
But that's amazing, because I feel like that's kind of me. One thing that was crazy about Oracle was just the fact that to this day, as beloved as Barbara Gordon is, as beloved as Batgirl is, there are people who are still like, it's fucking bullshit she went away. Oracle was such an amazing, well-rounded and interesting character, and I would argue, regardless of the
She's
cool
the best
stories,
guy in the van that there is. Like, as far as the trope is concerned,
yeah,
a well-rounded character that also has a history. That's like that's a home run.
there's just, and again, the fact that people still almost cry at the loss of it, to the to the much less interesting, like, yeah, she's like a Batman type. Like, that's the crime. The crime is they took a character who couldn't exist without Batman and created a character that very much could sit on her own. She was in charge of teams. She was in charge of operations. She became a
Did
tactician.
you just refer to Oracle as sitting on her own? You are an evil, petty little man.
That's
Just
my
terrible.
bad. That's my
You're the
bad.
type of guy that you don't want to be a Batgirl with, up on top of a roof in the night, trying to break up with. Just terrible. What about? And I realize that this obviously goes back, but that first time that you're reading through Watchmen, and most of us read Watchmen Collected, the fucking reveal that Ozymandias is like the big bad, just like it makes you question life.
It
You
really was just, it's such a
Start
punch
looking
in
at your
the dick.
best friend better, like, oh, what's this guy over here doing? Like,
It made me
plants
suspicious
seeds,
of
but-
you for
yeah,
years.
but that's rightfully so. So that was probably a positive, because I was definitely taking your lunch money, definitely sneaking a Twinkie out of there.
Yeah, but that was you just trying to help. You're like, homeboy
yeah,
doesn't
help
need
me
another
kill
Twinkie.
my hunger. Yeah, and
I think it
a
was
lot
also
of
he was
people
just
say-
such a dick about it. Like, Ozzy was like, yes, clearly it was me, you dumb
Yeah.
bastards.
it's like, who is gonna do it? You?
Yeah.
And almost to the point where, like, you love the villains that are so self-assured that you question your own, rightness, right? Your own, like, maybe, maybe killing a few million people, like, those are the best evil plans, where you're like, I kind of get where Thanos was going with that.
Yeah.
After a little while, you're sitting in the tub and you're washing your pitch, you're like, why couldn't you just snap your fucking fingers and, like, double the resources for the universe? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't that have accomplished the same thing?
Just make two
without killing
planets.
half the people?
What about double turns? What about a reveal that then is unrevealed? Like when Red Hood turned out to be Jason Todd, but then fucking wasn't Jason Todd, it was Clayface? That was fucking epic. And the fact that they undid it by then being like, but also Jason Todd's back, is like the shittiest triple turn ever. You didn't like that? When they were like,
It's
it's
all
Jason
right.
Todd, then they were
It's
like,
all
nah, not Jason Todd though.
Well,
Under the Red Hood
here's
broke my
the
fucking
problem.
brain.
The problem with certain comic lines, I find, and I could be wrong, because I know it's like one of those things. Once you know how the sausage is made, it never tastes the same, so to speak. So the second that people started having vocal opinions, and that was right around, like, the birth of, like, okay, we hear you. The second that you asked, should we kill this person or not, and then abided by it, then now all of a sudden your fans have a voice and an opinion, and it's important. So when they do things like with Red Hood, and people start, like, meh, I think this or I think that, then now if you don't heed it, you're a bad guy. You're bad creators. You don't care about your fans. So I couldn't help but have that thought of like, well, was that always the original? It's clever, don't get me wrong. Or like it like was Clayface secretly being Jason Todd back from the dead, the spare tire, just in case we hit a pothole. But if we don't hit a pothole and it's clear sailing, we'll leave it as is. I don't know. I prefer now. Do me a favor, throw up a spoiler warning
Yeah.
because this is big and a lot of people are new to the Boys universe.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. But I don't think the show's doing it, luckily.
We don't know.
That's
honestly
true.
we don't know that. If they're fucking doing the hero-gasm, anything is on the table.
That's
So
true.
this is truly a spoiler warning. If you like the Boys, don't listen. If you do want to be surprised,
Yeah, just hit mute for like a minute.
fucking Black Noir
What?
being the Homelander's fucking clone is like truly was mind-blowing to me.
I literally did one of those
I reread it. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, let me make sure that I got this right. It is
fucking genius.
It's just one of those moves where the best drops, the best pick Mike up and across the room drops, is when they hit you with it and you're like, get the fuck out of here. And they force you to be like, I'll be the judge of that. And you walk over and you get all your back issues. You're like, and they basically make you reread, rewatch, re-listen, whatever, all of your source material, and just to look for like poke those little holes, like aha. But there are no ahas to be had because that was always the idea. This is not Luke and Leia, brother and sister.
It's
/ they were going to be boyfriend and girlfriend.
It is
those
my
are
favorite.
The best. Those are the best.
Now, along the same lines,
you could take it down now.
Yeah, along the same lines, one of my absolute heartbreaking ones is one that no one acknowledges really anymore, and I know the character has a very mixed fan base. Swamp Thing, when they did the reveal that Swamp Thing is not Alec Holland, that Swamp Thing isn't a guy at all, he's just a fucking plant who like thinks he was a guy. You talk about another one where I was like
what?
What the fuck? That character has broken and re-broken my heart 150 times, and no one either just realizes how shocking that was, or just not enough people have fucking read it.
Well, that's the thing. People aren't as invested in that character as they should be. But that also frees up that character creatively to do all kinds of shit. So it's popularity, I'll tell you from experience, popularity is a double-edged sword, because when you're hitting home runs, you don't want to change your stance ever. You're like, I'm as successful as I'll be doing things this way, so I'm not going to change anything. But that's the fastest recipe for staleness. The fastest way that you can get out of that groove is to not change.
Yeah.
The second you stop changing, the second you stop growing, you start dying. And Swamp Thing, for the, I don't know, sad. We're coming down. It's the bottom of the beer. You understand? When you get to that point, it frees you up creatively. That's the reason why Swamp Thing has so many fire fucking stories, because it's like you're playing with house money.
The guy rarely misses as far as stories go. And again, what's great is it's all low key. It's deep cuts a lot of times, but if you haven't,
low key,
nice. Also a character that, I think is one, Loki proved he was one chance away from becoming a big
I know
deal.
It's outside of the comic books, but I will throw this one out. Narratively, the American Gods books, and sadly, we're not going to get the completion of this iteration of American Gods series. Maybe it's going to get picked up by a different network. Hopefully,
fingers crossed.
Maybe they'll do like a Deadwood type thing, and they'll wrap it up with the movies type of thing.
For Ashley Reyes alone, it needs
damn
to come
straight.
back.
So the character that was Shadow's cellmate, spelled Low, second word Key, as like, yeah, he's low key. At no point was the character of Loki ever referenced in the book. Now, this is a book where we have Odin, where we have Balder.
Yeah.
You're like, nobody said, well, and Thor is referenced because he got killed fucking during the big tree and shit. But nobody's like, well, I wonder where Loki is in all this. And then fucking Loki's Lysmith shows up at the end of it. Should not have been one of those like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Ray Charles holding Stevie Wonder's hand should have seen that coming. John Rivera did not. I'm like, oh shit, it's Loki. But no, my ultimate like mic dropper. And it happened. I don't know why. It was one of those things where you're like, you should not have been surprised. But
those are the best.
Nightcrawler's actual fucking father being a demon was like,
oh, the demon-looking mutant.
Is anybody else paying attention right now? Like, how did you not? I got so caught up on, well, he's blue, so yeah, that makes perfect sense. His mother is the blue chick running around with those drawers on. I get it. But the fact that his fucking pops is like a straight up, he looks like a demon, obviously.
Also, what a fucking crapshoot being a mutant is. Be like, what's your power? Optic blast. What's your power? I can fucking read mind. What's your power? I'm half frog.
What's your power? Giant dick.
What's your power? My dick is made of spaghetti. It sucks. This sucks. For my dear brother, the CEO of US Comics, I, of course, am your COO. If you haven't done so already, hit a like, drop a comment. It can even just be hello. Hit the share button. Help move.
Don't be hello.
It could be hello.
Say something.
Hello. Is it me you're looking at? Let us know what your biggest surprise was. Let us know what adaptation you want to see in cartoon form. We have some solid contenders already. Again, me personally, Jose putting RoboCop in Law & Order SVU. That might be the winner of the day, but I don't know. Plenty of time to comment. Make sure you support our wonderful sponsors because they support us. We love supporting them, but you support us too. Hit that share, hit that like, do all that stuff. But my dear brother, there is only one way we end each and every episode of US Comics Cast. Why don't you tell the beautiful people how that is?
First, you gotta.
John popped his mic and hit mute. John unplugged his mic completely. First, you got to turn the power on. Then you got to turn the volume up. Then you have to have the greatest producer of all time save your candy ass and hit him with the fucking Bad Mary goodness. Bad Mary, take us out.